I think we're live. Good evening and welcome here to Scrolling and Making with Russ. This is our second episode where that we are here on YouTube. I just want to clarify that Paul sees me live. Okay, he's got me. And how's my audio, Mr. Paul? Okay. Anyway, I don't have anybody in the chat room right now, so I don't know if it's. Wow. Well, this is weird because I don't have anybody in my chat, so I'm definitely going to be running blind tonight. Uh, let's see if I can do like I did last time and pull up actually YouTube. I think that's what I had to do last time. It's just been a while since I've done this. And wouldn't you know, I can't even. I'm having to refresh YouTube to see if I can see it. This is totally different, so I'm kind of having to play this by ear. I don't even see the live stream on my channel. Yeah, this is definitely definitely different, and I'm not going to be able to see the stream to see what everybody is saying, so I'll give it a little bit to see if YouTube catches up. But anyway, had a great time at the woodworking show. Had a real great time at the woodworking show. A lot of people. Klingsport. The Gwinnett Woodworkers invited me to be in their booth. They even made me a nice poster banner thing to put out front, and they had me sitting on a scroll saw, and I was scrolling for Friday and Saturday. I left Sunday, but I literally talked to hundreds of people. I'm not going to say thousands, but hundreds. So much and so Friday night my voice was hoarse from talking so much. So a real good time. People, I'd be scrolling, they come up and ask me questions, and you know, I'd interact with them, show them, tell them some of them didn't know what a scroll saw was, so I'd interact with them with the scroll saw, and just had a real good time. So went over into the Southern Woodworkers booth, saw a lot of my friends. Went out to eat Friday night, and then Saturday night we Joel Crawford and his wife Margot, I believe is her name, had a party at their house, and went out to their house for the party, and it was just fantastic. He had barbecued pork with baked beans and all the fixings and everything. Just awesome, good time seeing all the people that were had come. So really enjoyed myself, had a lot of fun. I'm still trying to refresh YouTube so I can see my live stream, and I still don't see my live stream. So there's no way I'm going to be dependent on Paul if y'all have any questions, because I just don't see the live stream, and I'll have to figure out how to get the chat to work on this also. But as soon as the live stream comes up on, I don't know why it's not coming up on YouTube. That's really weird. and I've refreshed it 2 or 3 times. So on my computer. Paul thought I was doing it on the iPad, but I know I'm doing it on my computer. So, all right, well, I'm just going to have to run handicap tonight. Let me talk about my wonderful sponsors. And if you have any questions, make sure you post them. Then Paul's going to have to relay them to me because I can't see the chat. Devobal Technologies for web design, development, and hosting. Go to devobal.com. FastCap, innovative products for the professional woodworker. Go to fastcap.com. Rockler, 60 years in woodworking, create with confidence. Visit rockler.com. Bearwood Supply Company, your best choice for hard to find woodworking supplies. Klingspor, the sanding specialist, and Seiko, the scroll saw specialist, seiko.com. Those are all my sponsors, and let me clip them back up here behind me. Okay, so this is the pattern that we're going to be working on tonight. Give me coffee. This comes from a series of patterns that I did years ago with my wife, because my wife loves coffee. There's one thing you'll learn is don't talk to her, don't speak to her, don't do nothing except hide until she has her first cup of coffee when she wakes up in the morning. So I did the give me coffee. Also, if y'all remember, I did the no coffee, no worky sign, and I think Dave Hart or somebody won that. I gave it away. So, but this is just one of many signs that I made. I got I love coffee was another one I made, and this is actually the picture that inspired me, that I got off the internet to make these give me coffee, I love coffee. That's the picture I used to design this pattern. I saw that and I said, oh, I can do that, and turned it into the scroll saw pattern. So that's I don't know if I can or not. Let me try my cell phone and see if it'll pick up. That I don't know. Hopefully no worky. That's what I thought. Dave Hart won it. Yep, I thought he's the one that. Yeah, I can actually see it on my cell phone, I think. Driveway Workshop with Jim Bashir's is out there. Probably displays it. LOL. Yeah, but it's going to be really hard to see. I'll try to watch as much as I can, but the best thing for y'all to do is, if you have a question, is to just post it, and then Paul will ask me. That's the best thing to do. Yeah, he'll have to earn his keep tonight. That's the best thing to do. So anyway, but this is a series that I made. Like I said, this little picture right here is what inspired me to make these, and I made several of them. I love coffee. I think Coffee Beast is one of them. Give Me Coffee is one of them. So I don't think I have posted the pattern. Some of these patterns I've never posted, so I'll have to check and see if that picture, it's not close enough to that picture, so I don't think there would be a problem for me posting these patterns on my website, because I mean, it's really fairly different, and I don't think that's a trademarked or a copyrighted picture. So I'll check into it to make sure. But anyway, that's what I'm going to be doing tonight. I think this is, I'm not sure if this is a number 1 or a number 3 blade that is in my saw. Not sure. Oh, before I forget, I'm coming up with a new thing for my scroll saw, a lift that's not going to be spring. It's actually going to be driven by a foot pedal. When I was in the Gwinnett Woodworkers booth, a scroller there by the name of Hans with the Gwinnett Woodworkers has his set up with a foot pedal, and what it does is when you push the pedal down, it lifts the arm up, and then when you let go of the pedal, the arm comes back down. So I played around with it. I think like the thing was so cool, and I saw how he put it together, understand how it's put together, so I'm going to probably be doing a video on it, and it requires some pulleys and different stuff, so I've got to get it all set up to, you know, try it out, and then I'm probably going to be doing a video on how I put it together and put it on my scroll saw for people that want to duplicate it for theirs. He's got it working on a DeWalt DW788, so he's got it on his DeWalt saw. I'm going to modify it to put it on this Seiko saw, but it's really easy to put on pretty much any DeWalt, Seiko, Excalibur, King, any of those saws would be really easy to modify and put on them. So look for that in the future, because I just thought that was so cool. He's got his pedal on his right foot for the start and stop of the saw, and his left foot he pushes down and it lifts the arm up. And I'm like, that is awesome. So be looking for that in the future. For right now, let's see if I can find one of these holes. This is 3/4 inch pine. I'm just putting in some cheap old pine, and this is either a number 1 or a number 3 modified geometry. I'm not sure which one. It's from whatever I was scrolling on here last time, so I'm not sure which one it is. That's too complicated, Paul. Paul's saying if I was a talented guy, I'd have it so when I push down on my toe, it would start the saw. When I push down on my heel, it'd lift it up. Nah. I really liked his, yeah, see, I've lost the chat on my phone. All it's showing is me right now, so that's not going to work. I'm just going to turn my phone off. I'll see what we can do to correct this next week when we start. See what I have to do to get the chat to work. I mean, what's weird about this is, oh, here it is. I finally found it. It finally appeared. There we go. Now I can see the chat. Luna Pierce, or Luana, I think so. Luana Pierce. What's the advantage of a foot pedal? She asks. Okay. What's the advantage of the foot pedal? Okay. If you don't have a foot pedal, then you're constantly going to have to be reaching up on the, here, let me scroll this back here. See, here is the off and on button on this saw. Okay, so I'm going to have to cut and then reach up and turn this button off to stop the saw, and then move my blade and then turn the button on and start sawing again. So with the foot pedal, you leave this switch on the saw on all the time, and when you press the foot pedal, your saw starts scrolling. That's the advantage. Makes it, anybody that I have showed the foot pedal and they started using it, love it. I mean, and I would say pretty much everybody that I know that I've ever showed how to scroll saw has bought a foot pedal and they use it. So had a post on blades to error. Alright, first off, so that's what the foot pedal does. It makes it 10 times better. There's no thinking about it. When I come to a corner, if I want to wallow that corner out, I can stop, turn the piece, and then start all over. Think of it as a sewing machine. If you ever used a sewing machines operate off of foot pedals. So that's the same principle as using a foot pedal for a scroll saw. Now, I will advise you there are two types of foot pedals. I use the one that's press on, and when you let up, it goes off. So on is down, off is up. Now they make a foot pedal that is called I forgot the actual terminology, but is when you push it down, it locks on, and you can take your foot on it, the saw runs, and you have to push it down the second time to make it stop. I don't like that kind. I just had a lot of I tried using it one time and I just didn't like it. So I like the one that's like yeah, it is like your sewing machine. It's exactly like your sewing machine. So yes. Awesome wood things. Matt Haas said, I ordered that Pegasus blade chuck for my scroll saw. Thanks for the advice. Yes, they'll make a big difference. All right, let me go back up here. I read a post online with people saying Pegasus blades are too brittle and break very easy. Has anyone else found this? I haven't, but I was wondering. Yeah, I mean, that is somewhat true. I have found out that they break a little bit easier and are more brittle than the Flying Dutchman. Or the what is it, the Nequa blades that they're using now, which Nequa is supposed to be the manufacturer of Flying Dutchman from my understanding. Bearwood Supplies is carrying the Nequa and the Pegasus. Nequa is supposed to be the Flying Dutchman. Okay, so I have noticed that when the experience of myself, and I've also talked to some other scrollers that have said the same thing, that they seem a little bit brittle. I will tell you this much, I like using both, and I've got to order some more Flying Dutchman in. I've got some, but I've got to order some more in, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to start, Flying Dutchman are great for soft woods, like this pine and Baltic birch and anything like that that's soft. But there is the Pegasus cuts more aggressive and better in the hardwoods and the thicker woods. So you have the best of both worlds. So if you're cutting a hardwood, thicker wood, then I would use the Pegasus. If you're staying on Baltic birch, quarter, half inch, or whatever, then you can stay on the Nequa, which are the Flying Dutchman, so to speak. But I have read the same thing, and I have experienced that. They seem to break. They don't take as much. You get them in a bind or whatever, and they'll pop, where the Flying Dutchman didn't do that as bad. They're still a good blade, so you might go through a couple more blades using them, but I still like them because they've made a believer out of me in the hardwoods. That's where I saw the difference. I was like, holy crap, they do cut hardwood better. So I hope that answers your question. Now, I have experienced it, but it might also be... Okay, I have experienced problems with Flying Dutchman's blades before when I ordered them, and a specific dozen. So they're all not manufactured perfect. There could be, and it's not necessarily the blade, it could be the metal that came through at that particular time was a little softer or more brittle than the other, because I've had batches of Flying Dutchman's blade that didn't work worth a flip. So, you know, you're going to, when they're mass produced, as much as they mass produce those blades, sooner or later you're going to run into some that don't work very good, or they have problems. So that's just kind of to be expected. Just toss it, and they're literally a penny. So I mean, when you can buy a dozen of blade for a couple of bucks, you know, they're really not that expensive. Somebody was telling me at the woodworking show, they said, yeah, I put a piece of 3/4 inch like material underneath, so after the blade starts getting dull, I can move up on the blade and use that upper part of the blade and keep the blade in longer. And I'm like, I said, you do realize when you buy these things by the grocer, like pennies a piece. I mean, when mine starts doing that, I just take it off and throw it away and put another one in. And they just kind of like looked at me like, yeah. So I'm like, why are you going through all that trouble when you just toss it and get another one? It's not like if they were $20 a piece, hell, I'd be doing that. But they're not. They're pennies a piece. So I already read that one that said Matt said he ordered the Pegasus blade holders. Oh, thank you. Jumbo sent me, James Parker sent me a thumbs up, so I appreciate that. More brittle means stay sharp longer too. Well, yeah. Oh, I see that. Yeah, $1.98. Thank you, Bob Lee. I appreciate the super chat. Thank you very much. Yeah, that can be a thing. You know, more brittle makes them stay sharp too. I like them. Don't get me wrong, but they're more aggressive. So when I'm cutting stuff like this pine, and I'm cutting stuff like the 1/4 inch Baltic birch and everything, they're too aggressive for me. So that's the reason I like to back off. Now I've got that one that's in here, and I think this is a Pegasus 1. I'm just going to go ahead and use it because I'm getting more and more used to it. So I'll just leave it in. I'm not going to change it out right now. I don't feel like pulling it out and changing it. So I can work around it. It's not something. It's just something that I need to change the blade just because of that. So anyways, let me get this back down here onto, let me get back over here. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that because of their aggressiveness and everything. I wouldn't doubt that they do cut better. Yep. I'm bringing this down and changing it so y'all can see better. It'll take a second for it to quit wobbling. Okay, so let me bring this down here. Bring my eyes in here so I can see. Oh, I gotta turn on my vacuum system. And I re-emphasize, if you don't have a Scrollnado for your scroll saw, you really need to buy one, people. These things are awesome. Matter of fact, he's my new sponsor. We pretty much affiliated that this weekend. Let's put it this way. I sold 7 Scrollnados for the guy this weekend, between Friday and Saturday. I was talking to some of the Gwinnett woodworkers, and one of the guys went over there and says, "Hey, have you seen that Scrollnado?" I said, "I have one on my saws. I actually have 3 of them on the different saws." And he says, "How do you like them?" I said, "I love them." I said, "You ever seen one work?" And he was like, "No." I said, "Come over here and let me show you the guy and watch him work." So he was there. He did the demo and everything. He goes, "Oh man, that seems like it works great." I said, "I'm telling you, they work fantastic. You'll love it. You won't even need your blower anymore." And so that was the first one I sold, and then just kept on. One guy would come over, "Oh, I see so and so got." So the guy was giving them like $10 off. He called it the Russ special. The guy that, I'm trying to think of his name, and I can't think of his name off the top of my head. I'm bad about that, but anyway. So I was telling him, y'all go over there and tell him to give you the Russ special, and he'll give you $10 off the Scrollnado. Before it was all said and done, 7 people bought a Scrollnado because of me. So he was a happy camper. Yeah, I can tell this is a Pegasus blade because it is cutting very, very, very aggressive. Even in this 3/4 inch just cheap pine, it's cutting very, very aggressive. I don't think Scrollnado has, by the way, I don't think they have a actual website. I looked for it the other day and I couldn't find it because I needed to contact him, and he gave me his business card, but I had misplaced it somehow. I'll go through my stuff again and probably find it. But anyway, so I was just looking to see on his website about the website, and he doesn't have a website. So the only place I could find to buy the Scrollnados was through Amazon. Yeah, yep, that's the only place I could find it. I thought he had a website. Like I said, he gave me his business card, and I'll find it. I think I just put it with a bunch of stuff, and I haven't gotten to it yet. I haven't even unpacked all my stuff yet. So, oh, and I got given so much. Do what? Uh, he was selling them at the show, but this was a new version, and it had like a water separator for $59.99, I believe it was. What are they listing? Okay, I could, yeah, I can see that. What are they running on Amazon? Paul's looking up what they're running. He found them on eBay from 53.18 up to normally they run 59.99. So he's going to look on Amazon and see what they're running. On Amazon they're running 49.99. I think the reason he was charging the 59 this weekend was, and I'm actually not supposed to be telling this because I think he did tell me not to mention this. The new one won't be out till April, sometime in April. So he was telling me not to mention about the new version because they hadn't come out yet. Well, guess what? I just let the cat out of the bag. So sorry about that, but he's coming out with the newer version, which is a little bit better than the older version. And he's not only coming out with that, but he's also coming out with a water separator. And what that is you use the water to collect your sawdust, and it saves your vacuum cleaner filter. You run your hose through the water, in other words, which is a pretty ingenious idea. I don't know why we haven't been doing that. Other than I can see if you're running like a huge saw, like a joiner or a planer, where you're creating super fantastic lots of sawdust, and I don't think actually you're creating chips more than you are creating anything else. But I don't think the water separator would work, not unless it was huge. Otherwise, I think you would make a big mess. But when you're using it for like a scroll saw or something small like a scroll saw, come on out of there. A scroll saw don't create that much dust anyway. I want to check and make sure I've got everything. Yeah, I have. But and another thing I could see happening is if you left all that dust in the scroll saw or in that water over a period of time, it would probably mold. Wow, this is absolutely so tight, I'm having a hard time getting it out. That was in there so tight. Yeah, I'm sure if you left that sawdust in the water separator for a few days, even though it was a minute amount that the scroll saw makes, I have a feeling that it would get moldy in there. So that's another thing. It wouldn't be like your normal vacuum cleaner that where you could use it today and come back in 3 or 4 days and use it again. I think you would need to clean it out right after use. As soon as I cut this letter, I am going to change this blade. It is cutting just so fine, and the dust is so fine, it's actually sticking to the project, and I can't hardly see. I almost need the blower to assist the Scrollnado. Yeah, I'm having to use the blower to assist the Scrollnado. The dust is just so fine, the Scrollnado is having a hard time picking it up. It's almost too like it's wet. This board might have a little bit of more humidity in it than I'm actually used to. Now that I got that blower going, it's working perfect. We've had a lot. This was out in my other part of my shop, which is not climate controlled, so to speak. So therefore, we've had so much rain lately. There's a possibility that this board has a lot of humidity in it. That would also explain why I'm having a hard time getting these letters out. They're so tight. And I just broke that one. Well, ain't that nice? Ain't that nice? Well, crap. See what I did? When I tried to force that letter out, it broke the E. Well, crap. If that wouldn't just frost your cookies. And I'm looking to see if I see the piece that broke off to see if I can fix it. But I don't even see the piece when it popped out. So, well, there's no use in finishing that piece if it's not gonna. I'm gonna get rid of this blade. And put another blade. I guess I'll go ahead and finish it. I'll see if I can find that piece, or I'll fix it some way. I've got all kind of ways of fixing stuff up my sleeve. I can probably, what I can do is just come in here and cut. Let me push this up so you can see it. Cut this E off part of this E off, and then take another piece of pine and cut the E part out and glue it in there. I'll just have to make sure that when I get the pattern off the other piece of pine, not so much the grain matching, but you know how pine has some lighter and dark places in it. I'm going to have to make sure I pick a corresponding grain color that will match the existing to fix it. I'll fix it. That's the reason for doing this stuff sometimes in pine, especially since I'm kind of scrolling very fast. Yeah, it's very, very humid here right now in Florida. We just have cool. I love. Yeah, actually, that's Luana. This is actually the first time I think I've actually broke a piece, though. When I've been scrolling here online, I don't remember before ever breaking a piece. It's the first one I broke, but you can take. See if I can turn this around here where y'all can see a little bit better. I should be able to take and just cut this part here totally off. Matter of fact, I'll do it when I get the blade on, and then come back with another piece that has a light area and glue it back in there. I'm going up to a number 3. I don't. 5s are huge. I don't like. I don't even. Yeah, that was a number 1 before. Once I got it off, I could tell I'm holding it in my hand. No, it was a number 1 before, and that was just too small of a blade for what I was doing. So I've increased it to a number 3. And I got news to you. For me, a number 5 is just way too big. Ones and 3s are predominantly what I use. If I do have 5s, they're from probably been sitting in the box or in the package for 10 years. Alright, let's see how this does. See if I can get rid of my blower now. My blower tube. Alright, what did you say?
I said Luann.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Well, anybody that tells you they don't make mistakes, tells you that they don't make mistakes, they are obviously one of the biggest liars that ever walked the face of the earth. When I was scrolling up there in Atlanta, I had one of the pieces I was doing had a piece break off, and the guy was standing there and he said, "Oops, what are you going to do about that?" And I backed the blade up and cut that off even, and I said, "Nothing." I said I'd call it a design change at the last minute. He started laughing. I said, once I take the pattern off, nobody in the world will ever know it was done. I made that mistake. Nobody will ever know I made that mistake. But yeah, big shout out to the Gwinnett Woodworkers. Matter of fact, now this won't be live to all of y'all, unfortunately, but on April 1st, I believe April 1st is a Monday, I'm going to be doing a live stream specifically for the Gwinnett Woodworkers at their meeting, and they're going to have me up on a big screen TV. So I will be doing their meeting that night. I will be the host, and we'll be doing it as a live stream. Yep. Well, you won't be able to. Y'all won't be able to see it. It's a private live stream between me and them. I don't know if they're going to put it on the YouTube. I don't know. I'll have to find out that information from them. Because what they said that they just did it as a private live stream. But I can find out if they're going to want me to record it and put it up on their YouTube channel. Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that. Matter of fact, I wouldn't mind, now that y'all mention that, heck, why can't I just have it as a live stream and everybody watch it? Well, the reason being is because I think they wanted it private with them so the members could ask questions. That's what I think. The members were there that night could ask questions. So if I had, yeah, see how much easier these ladders are now popping out because I'm using the bigger blade. It's got a bigger kerf, so it's cutting through a little bit better. Now that I'm here, well, I'm gonna see if I can find that piece first before I cut that off. I was gonna go ahead and whack that off, but I might be able to find that piece on the floor and glue it back. Let's put it this way. Next week for the show, when we start off the show, I'll show you what I did and how I did it. Even if I have to record a short video and play the video for y'all on how I did it. Oh, and by the way, I took not this light. I have 2 or 3 of these magnifying lights, by the way. And I was going to tell you all that before. I took one of them and put them in my suitcase and took it with me, so I would have it there at the woodworking show to hook up to the saw so I could be able to see. Because I've literally got so used to using this thing that I can't hardly scroll without it anymore. I mean, literally, when I was at Rockler doing those demos, I didn't have it, and I was wearing my glasses, and it was just like, it was so hard to be able to see. Two things: it's an excellent light source, and then it magnifies it. And some of the people were coming up to me and asking me there at the woodworking show, how do you like that? And I said, well, come around here and look through it and you tell me. And they looked through it and they were like, oh man, I gotta buy me one of those. Where'd you get that? Harbor Freight. No way, you bought a Harbor Freight? No, this is a regular fluorescent bulb because I've had it so long. The newer ones I think have the LEDs. This is the original fluorescent bulb in this thing. Yeah, the newer ones I think that Harbor Freight has are now LED, but this thing is so old it has the original fluorescent bulb in it. This thing's 10 years old. It's actually, I don't know if y'all can't see it through the cameras and everything. It's actually turning yellow. The paint's so old on it, it's turning yellow. It's no longer white. That tells you it's old right there when the paint starts turning yellow. It's what's amazing is it's still the original bulb. To me, that's just outright amazing that that bulb's lasted that long. I wonder if I could even find bulbs for this thing anymore. It's like a 6 or 8 inch round fluorescent. How's everybody out there in the chat? My video froze up. My video is froze. Well, isn't that just a crock? Well, now on my end it's going good. Ah. I think I'm going to have to start unplugging my main computer in my house from the internet when I do these shows. Because I'm using Carbonite as a program to back up all my files, and I've found that thing to run quite a bit in the background, and let me tell you, if it's running, I'll even notice my computer slow down. So I think that's what's causing these errors on the internet, is that carbonite's kicking in and backing up files, and it's sucking up the bandwidth. Yes, I noticed that Luann asked about Harbor Freight, or we're talking about Harbor Freight. I like Harbor Freight. They got some good deals. Just some of the stuff you have to be kind of aware of that you buy. First off, it's not high dollar tools, so if you had a construction company or something and was using those tools, they wouldn't last. But for the average person and a homeowner, they're perfect tools. Yeah, my bandsaw is a Harbor Freight, but it's the older model, and it is exactly, and I mean exactly, like the old Jet and Powermatics. Matter of fact, I have ordered parts for it from Jet and Powermatic, and they fit on my bandsaw. So this wood is actually, I can tell, is wet just from the humidity. That's wild. It rained almost all day yesterday. I mean, it actually started that night and rained until like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon the following day. Now, it wasn't a pouring rain, it was just a constant, light rain. Yeah, this one person came up to me and they were looking and said, I have a Win, I think it is, or whatever, scroll saw, and I can't do the stuff that you're doing. And I said, well, partially because you haven't been doing it as long as I have, and the second thing is the Win scroll saw is a hunk of junk. They took it very well, and they said, yes, I know. And they asked me what saw that I recommend for them to buy as a beginner saw and get rid of that Win. And I told them, you're looking at it, the DeWalt. I would love to sell them Seikos, but most people shy away from the Seiko because if you compare it to the DeWalt. But then if you ever do have one and own a Seiko, you'll go, oh my goodness. But yeah, they were, and I tried to tell people that too, that if you buy one of those cheap Harbor Freight or Wins or one of those cheap scroll saws, and you use it, because of the hardness of the blade change, because of the vibration, because of everything that goes along with it, people get discouraged and think, well, if this is scrolling, I don't want anything to do with it. And had they had bought a DeWalt 788 and used it, they would have never got discouraged, because and every one of them agreed with me that their scroll saw, they would look at mine and see the less. I told them, put your hand on the table, and they're like, oh my God, so they agreed. They were like, yeah, I said, so You just gotta step up and get a better saw.
You know, the one thing that wood pipe really good for
Yeah, yeah. I've bought their sandpaper and tried it, and it just wore out too. We're talking about Harbor Freight sandpaper and stuff. And Jim is in my ear. Jim Bashir is making a comment about their blades and sandpaper, and I agree. Yeah, their sandpaper just breaks down too easy.
I don't use the salt because your whatever you use to drill.
Huh. Yeah, their drill bits are made from really, really poor quality metal, so to speak, and their drill bits dull quick. Uh, also, their router bits. Their router bits suck. They dull real quick. Well, personally, even the Diablo. Did I have something close out? Can y'all still hear me? Hmm. I lost Jim and Paul for some reason in my ear.
I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, okay. Luana DeWalt 788. What was the model number? The model number is actually. I'll probably need a new model number by the time I get into buying it. The DeWalt 788. That is the model number 788. It actually is DW788. If Paul, if you want to type that in, it's DeWalt DW788. Type in DeWalt DW788. That's the model number. And then the step up from uh, the DeWalt 788 is like this one I'm using, which is the Seiko scroll saw. Another step up would be right in the same line as the Seiko would be the Excalibur. The King is the same as the Excalibur, and now the Pegasus, which is the same as the Excalibur.
You like the Seiko better?
I've used the others, and I do like the Seiko better. The table's bigger and it's on the Seiko, and this magnetic pad I like better. And now the ones that I used, this Seiko seemed to have the less vibration.
You know what vac you use?
Just a cheap shop vac. That's all I'm using. A small one, like 2-3 gallon shop vac. Just a cheap shop vac. Yes, in this shop, it's outside. I have a room outside this shop on the front of this shop that has my shovels and hose and rakes and stuff for yard work in it, and I put the vacuum cleaner in that outside. It's about 15 feet in that direction. All right, James. I hope you're feeling better. I know he was in the hospital with his kidney stone. I hope you're doing better from that. A porta cable is one of those unique exceptions in the scroll saw line. They are a cheaper saw, but actually they work pretty doggone good. I've had several people. Steve Good bought one, um, and because people were saying how good they were, and did a video on it, and then turned around and we gave it away on the for the scroll saw contest at the end of the year in October on my scroll saw contest. The Delta, yeah, the Delta is the same as the DeWalt. Yep, they're a good saw. Yep. But yes, so I agree with you on the porta cable. That one's, for some reason, that's the exception to the rule when in the cheaper line of saws. Like I said, Steve Good bought one, took it home, put it together, scrolled with it, did a video on it, and posted. Steve Good is scrollsawworkshop.blogspot.com. He did a video on it and then turned around and boxed it back up, and then we gave it away for the scroll saw artist challenge in October. So, and he was impressed with the way it cut. Yeah, he was very much impressed with the way it cut. Isn't it funny how, though, that some saws like that, for instance, the porta cable, they come out with a saw that, a cheaper saw, but yet cuts really good, but yet Harbor Freight and Win and a few of those other saws cut like crap. I thought that was fairly amazing. They have a lot of vibration. Their tables are small, and then the blade change is horrible on them. How you change your blade? Huh? The Win, the Harbor Freight, all those saws. Here, their blade change is horrible. It's hard to change the blade on it. They have a lot of vibration. Their table is really, really small. Matter of fact, the porta cable table is fairly small itself. This? No, it's made to Either stand up or on the table or hang on a wall. It'll freestand. Okay, when I get to the top of this smoke, so to speak, I am going to go ahead and come out and cut this off and go ahead and remove this piece. If I can get around here to the camera. Remove this piece and get it out of the way. The reason being is because if I try to cut out all three of these and then start trying to remove, it will be more of a happening of probably might break one of these pieces of smoke coming up. By removing these pieces a little at a time, it doesn't put it into a bind and you have a less chance of breaking the piece. So anytime you have a complicated project or a process like this with little pieces, you're better off removing some of those pieces out of there and not trying to remove a big piece at one time, because it can get in a bind when it's trying to come out and snap your piece. Same thing with this one. I'm just going to go straight across from here over to here. Go ahead and get rid of that piece. Ken McCrory is in the house. They were telling me. And there we have it. Give me coffee. Let's see. Give me coffee. Actually, I can turn. Yep. Except for the broken E right there. I'll fix that though. Yep. And see, you were asking Jim. See, that'll stand up on its own.
Yep. Looks good.
Yeah, it's got a flat bottom on it, so you can either, or you could hang it on the wall. Either way, you can hang it on the wall or it'll stand up on its own. Give me coffee. Give me coffee or don't mess with me, my wife would actually say. So
Brian Warner said you make it look too easy.
thank you. I'm sorry, but I don't drink tea but beautiful. Yeah, it'll stand up. I we were talking about that this weekend. Some of the guys were saying like, "Well, how long have you been scrolling?" I've been scrolling for close to 40 years now. Yeah, I started in 1982, 81 or 82 when I purchased my first scroll saw. So, give me coffee all around me and everywhere. Yeah. So that's what I told one of them when they were sitting there and they were going like, "Wow, I mean you're really good." And I said, after 40 years, if I wasn't, something's wrong. You just can't continue to do it over and over and scroll and scroll and scroll for that many years that you don't get better. If you don't get better, then something's wrong. You're either using the wrong saw, the wrong type of blade, or you just will never be able to scroll. One of the two or three. So, but it's come from just a lot of scrolling over the years. I mean, there were times when that's all I did was scroll. I didn't even I had my shop was like very small, so it was all I did was scroll. There's times when I remember when we were living in an apartment, and my scroll saw would take, it was the Craftsman, and I had a picnic table we had a screened-in porch on the back and of the apartment, and I would put my scroll saw on the picnic table and cut stuff out there. So Brian said 81 or 82 is when we had our first kid. Yeah, my first child was born in 79, and it was Brandy. And Brandy was with me. I had her in my arms, and we were walking through Sears. I never will forget it. And I passed by the scroll saw, and I was like, "What?" I'd been in the construction business and carpentry. I mean, since I was knee high to a grasshopper. I'm a third generation carpenter. My dad built houses. My grandfather built houses. So um, I had never seen a scroll saw. I'd seen hammers and jigsaws and power saws and hand saws and chisels, and I was talking to the guy, "What is it?" And they had one on display, and he showed me how it worked, and scrolled a little bit with it, and I said, "Oh, I gotta have one of these." I think my first scroll saw only cost me, it's about what the price of the saws are now, somewhere between $150 $200. It wasn't that expensive back then. So I bought, and it had pinned in blades. It did not have pinless blades. It had pinned in blades. So you were limited as to what you could do. So you had to do like big patterns, and then I got the bright idea of being able to take the pin out of the blade and force it through put it through a hole. But still, the blades were big. The blades back then were like a number 7 or a 9 blade today with the pin in it. So 79 was Brian Warner, so 79 is when I won the Air Force. Yeah. So I bought it and brought it home, and been scrolling ever since. Scrolling, and doing all kinds of stuff. I've given away, I think I've given away a lot more than I've ever sold. I'm giving away a lot of stuff over the years. So, yep. And then I've sold a lot of stuff. I try to do flea markets and stuff, and there was weekends that I do really good. There was weekends I barely covered the price of the booth for the flea market. So I'm like, that's it. I don't care for it anymore. I figured out.
I think it depends on what neighborhood you get into with the flea market.
Yeah, I think it depends on what neighborhood, and I think it also depends on the states. Our flea markets down here in the South, especially in Florida, I've noticed. Our flea markets are more like junk markets. I mean, you got people that sell crafts there, and they're very nice stuff, don't get me wrong, but a lot of it's just junk that people bring there to sell and make money off of. And they do sell junk. So here's the problem. They're selling junk. They come by and see you've got $5 on something, and they'll tell you, "I'll give you $2 for it." Well, that's the way they do with the junk. The junk is like that. They'll see a piece there and they want. They'll say the guy will have $5. They'll tell him, "I'll take two. I'll give you $2 for it." The guy will say 3, and you can have it. So they hand him the 3 and walk away. Well, that's not the way it is with crafts. So if you've got if you got $5 set on there, that's what you need to make out of that. And so then they'll kind of like get piffy at you and argue with you or whatever. So I just tell them to keep on. One of them told me that one time, and I turned around and picked it up, and I said, "Damn, yeah, it does. I could have swore it had a price on it." Oh, they just got pissed off and walked off. So, but up north, I've had friends of mine that do the craft shows and stuff up north, and they make tons of money off of it, because up there it is a craft show. People to get together with their stuff and sell it. It's not a junk show like it is down here a lot. So I've had a lot of my friends tell me, "Yeah, I turned $600 this weekend." I'm like, "Damn, wish I could sell $600 worth of stuff." So yeah. Aussie Man said, "My house before it burnt down was full of scroll saw projects." Oh, wow. I've got a ton in here. Matter of fact, I might have to start having giveaways and just give some of this stuff away just to get it out of here. Because it's starting to get, now I've got box after box that I've been cutting, and I'm like, I'm running out of room to put it. So, yeah, just give it away. So just give it away to somebody, because like I said, it's getting to the point now I'm having a hard time storing it. Because you think about this, I do this once a week. That's 52 shows a year. Well, let's say I do all 52, That's 50. That's 52 projects. I got to store those things. So, and then if you do it the second year, there's another 52. So, yeah, I might have to just start giving them away.
Thing that limits my scrolling is what to do with all the stuff to scroll.
Yeah, yeah. Paul is saying that's one.
Those are like big bowls or something.
Yeah, Paul is saying that's one of the things that limits his scrolling is where does he put the stuff that he scrolls. So, give it away. That's about one of the only ways you can do it is just give it away.
Really, yeah.
But once again, I had a fantastic time this weekend at the woodworking show. Saw literally hundreds of people, talked to literally hundreds of people, and a big shout out again to the Gwinnett Woodworkers for having me in their booth and hosting me, and the great sign that they made for me. I had a lot of fun. This is one thing I like to do, is to show people how to scroll saw and to talk to people about scroll sawing. And I did a lot of that this weekend. So much, like I said, Friday and Saturday my voice was getting hoarse from talking so much. And I would have anywhere between 10 to 15 people sometimes gathered around me watching me. And then a lot of people asking questions. So really, really good time. And that's what I told them. Scroll sawing is one of the easiest things to get into, because to be honest with you, it's not a big rabbit hole. You buy the scroll saw and blades are cheap, and some wood, and you can take off and go for it. Now, it's easier nowadays to find scroll saw wood than it was when I grew up, because we didn't have 1/4 inch. You had to make your own or 1/4 inch. Or you use the cheap plywood that they used. I used a lot of pine back in those days too, 3/4 inch pine. But nowadays you can find Ochi hardwoods, I think it is, online, has scroll saw ready hardwoods that are 1/4 inch, 3/8, ½ inch thick. So you can find a lot of places online now that sell scroll saw ready hardwoods, already thin and in pieces that you can have shipped to your house. So didn't have that.
Luana wants to know how much you would charge for a gift tea.
Give me tea. I can make me a give me tea. Yeah, I can make a give me tea. You want me to make it, or you want the pattern for it? I can make give me tea and put a pattern on. Matter of fact, I could just put give me tea on this. This can be a teacup or a coffee cup, but I really don't know the difference. So you just want me to make this the pattern, or do you actually want me to make the give me tea thing? That's what I need to know.
We could have a rigged giveaway for her.
A rigged giveaway where she wins. Make sure she wins.
Graham orders us up on bourbon.
How about give me bourbon?
Yeah,
Now that would be in a glass. Give me.
or a shot glass.
I made a beer mug one time, and it said, what I put on it? I think it was "Need more beer," or something like that. Oh, she don't have. All right, so you want me to make it for you? All right, I'll see. I can see if what I can do about that. So you saw that. Oh, I was going to tell y'all too. Just a real interesting.
And Russ at Simply Wooden Creations.
Yes, Luana. Paul's going to post it, but email me at russ@simplywoodencreations.com, and he's going to post that in the chat for you so you can see it. Just email me about that. But what I was wanting to tell you that was pretty interesting about the show was I took that horse's head that I made, and which is on, I could cut that horse's head out in an hour easy without any problem. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about here, I'll show you. Let me get it. I'll be right back.
With the delay between the Discord
Okay, I'm back. This is the pattern that I took up there. I call it my contemporary horse. So I took the pattern up there on a piece of Baltic birch and applied it, and that pattern I could cut out without any problem in an hour. It took me 2 days to cut it out at the woodworking show. It took me all day Friday. Oh, yeah, I can cut that out in an hour. Yeah, it took me both days at the woodworking show to cut that out, Friday and Saturday. Why, may you ask? It's because I had that many people stopping me constantly to ask me questions. Yep, I'm serious. Yes, I took a lot of pictures of the wood show. I posted a few of them. Yeah, I posted a few of them online. So on my Facebook page. Yeah, I'll post some more. I'll post some more on my Facebook page. But yeah, but I'm serious. So it took me 2 days to do a project that I normally could do in an hour. 2 solid days. It's because I'd start cutting, and wouldn't be cutting for 2 or 3 minutes, and somebody come up and start asking me questions. Start cutting, somebody come up and ask me questions. It was because they were laughing at me. Rob was asking me, the guy that I know, and actually I stayed at his house on Thursday night. Rob was asking me, "Are you going to be able to finish that by tomorrow?" They were all laughing, and I'm like, "I'll be darned, I'm going to finish it." And by God, I finished it right about 5 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. I finally got it finished. So, yep. But that tells you, when you have a pattern, a project that you can do in an hour, and it takes you 2 days, that tells you how many people I talk to. Literally, like I said, I'm not going to say thousands, but literally I know hundreds, several hundred people. I like to know how many people attended. Oh, and another good thing is, as soon as you come in, I was right there. They had the Gwinnett Woodworker booth there, and me on the end with my sign right there. So when you walked in, I was one of the first things you saw. So that was pretty cool. Everybody had to pass by me to go anywhere else. So, yep. All right, guys. Well, it's been great to have all y'all out there. I appreciate it so very much, and we still thinking that we like this YouTube platform better than the Twitch platform, huh? I know Aussie. Yeah, Aussie. Yeah, I know Aussie Man. Yeah, Aussie Man will definitely likes me staying here on YouTube. He actually gets to watch the show and be in the chats. So watch the show and be in the chat. Good, good. YouTube better. Matt Haas says YouTube equals better. He said it's been a fun show. Thank you. Aussie Man says, I have patterns that be cut in an hour and takes me 2 days, and I'm on my own. Easier to come visit. Okay. Oh yeah, he likes it better. All right, so I think we're just going to move it over here to YouTube. I think that's the pretty well the way it's looking. So we'll just keep it over here on YouTube. Okay, cool. So, all right, guys. Well, that's time for tonight. I appreciate all you people being out in the chat. Brian Warner, Luana, Aussie Man, Matt Haas. I appreciate all y'all being out there. Looking back through, Brian Warner, Ken McCrory was out here in the chat. Everybody else that was out there in the chat, and I'm sorry if I missed your name, but see you next Wednesday night. I think we're going to have to do, I think I'm going to be cutting a vase out on the scroll saw next week. Steve Good just posted a pattern the other day of a vase, and I really liked the way it looked, so I think I'm going to use his. Thank you, Brenda G. She's a great show. I think I'm going to use his pattern and cut the vase out next week and show you how it goes together. I might have it's a fairly easy pattern, so I should be able to get it cut out and then show you how it glues up. So on next week's show, even if we run over a little bit, I'll show you how it glues up, and I should be able to do it on this here without having to put that wood piece up, because it's just 3 or 4 pieces. It should be easy to put together. So all right, thank you very much for watching. God bless. And there's only one thing we have left to do, and that is, when the sun comes a peeping into where I'm sleeping, it's out to my shop I go, just making piles of sawdust and getting covered from head to toe. Good night, everybody. Thank you for watching, and God bless.